12 signs. A woman is not sexually satisfied in her marriage. Sexual intimacy in marriage is more than physical pleasure. It is emotional connection, affection, reassurance, communication, vulnerability, and bonding. When intimacy is healthy, couples often feel happier, closer, calmer, and more connected. But when a woman feels sexually unfulfilled, the signs eventually begin to appear emotionally, mentally, and relationally. I once heard a woman describe how her husband sent her a passionate text message while they were attending a family event. The message reminded her of an intimate moment they had shared days earlier. Suddenly, she could barely focus on the gathering anymore. The conversations became distractions. All she wanted was to go home and reconnect with him again. That reaction came from emotional connection, attraction, and satisfaction. When a woman feels sexually fulfilled in marriage, it usually reflects in her mood, affection, confidence, attraction, and emotional closeness toward her partner. But when she is not satisfied, there are often signs many people overlook. Unfortunately, some women silently endure intimacy instead of enjoying it. Some never openly express dissatisfaction, while others communicate it through emotional distance, frustration, or withdrawal. Healthy intimacy requires communication, understanding, patience, emotional safety, and effort from both partners. Here are some common signs a woman may not feel sexually satisfied in her marriage. 1. She frequently complains about intimacy. One of the clearest signs is verbal dissatisfaction. Sometimes she says it directly. Other times she expresses it through criticism, frustration, comparisons, or subtle comments. Some women openly communicate their needs. I don't feel connected. Something feels missing. I wish things were different. Others become emotionally distant instead. When dissatisfaction is repeatedly expressed, it deserves attention rather than defensiveness. 2. She becomes emotionally withdrawn. Intimacy is deeply connected to emotions for many women. When repeated experiences feel emotionally disconnected, rushed, or disappointing, she may slowly withdraw emotionally from her husband. This may look like irritability, mood swings, emotional coldness, reduced affection, distance, less enthusiasm around her partner. Sometimes, the frustration is not only about sex itself, but about feeling emotionally unseen or disconnected. Over time, unresolved dissatisfaction can quietly create resentment. 3. She rarely experiences orgasm. Some women admit they fake orgasms to avoid hurting their husband's feelings, or simply to end the experience quickly. Unfortunately, this creates a cycle where real needs are never discussed honestly. Healthy intimacy involves communication, patience, emotional comfort, understanding each other's needs, and mutual satisfaction rather than focusing on only one partner's pleasure. Sometimes the issue is not lack of love, but lack of communication, emotional connection, or attentiveness. 4. She avoids conversations about sex. Some women communicate dissatisfaction openly. Others avoid the subject completely. If intimacy discussions consistently make her uncomfortable, defensive, or withdrawn, it may indicate disappointment, embarrassment, insecurity, frustration, emotional discomfort, lack of emotional safety. Healthy couples should eventually be able to discuss desires, concerns, preferences, boundaries, and emotional needs without fear or shame. Silence often hides unresolved tension. 5. She loses interest in intimacy. Repeated disappointment can eventually reduce desire itself. When someone repeatedly expects emotional connection but leaves feeling emotionally empty, excitement naturally decreases over time. This may appear as avoiding affection, avoiding cuddling or kissing, lack of enthusiasm, minimal participation, emotional distance during intimacy. Sometimes she is not rejecting her husband personally. She may simply no longer associate intimacy with fulfillment. 6. She seems uncomfortable or unhappy afterward. A sexually fulfilled woman usually appears emotionally relaxed, affectionate, peaceful, or connected afterward. But when intimacy consistently feels emotionally empty, rushed, uncomfortable, or disconnected, she may appear tense, distant, cold, unhappy, silent afterward. Physical discomfort may also signal stress, anxiety, lack of arousal, or emotional disconnection that deserves compassionate attention. 7. She fantasizes about alternatives. When emotional and physical needs remain unmet for long periods, some women may begin fantasizing about emotional attention, intimacy elsewhere, or different experiences. This does not automatically mean infidelity, but it can appear through romantic fantasies, emotional escapism, emotional attraction to others, excessive self-gratification, mentally comparing experiences. This often reflects emotional dissatisfaction more than simple physical desire. Healthy communication is essential before emotional distance deepens. Small conflicts become bigger. Unresolved frustration in one area of marriage often spreads into others. Sexual dissatisfaction may contribute to constant arguments, irritability, criticism, impatience, emotional sensitivity, reduced tolerance. The tension may stop looking only sexual and begin affecting the entire emotional atmosphere of the relationship. That is why unresolved intimacy struggles should never be ignored for too long. Attraction toward her husband declines. Emotional disconnection can gradually affect attraction. When intimacy consistently feels emotionally unfulfilling, she may slowly stop feeling excited, emotionally drawn, or romantically connected to her husband. This creates a painful cycle. Less satisfaction, less attraction, less intimacy, deeper distance. Without honest communication, emotional closeness may continue weakening. Her confidence begins to drop. Sexual dissatisfaction sometimes affects self-esteem more than people realize. A woman may begin wondering, am I unattractive? Is something wrong with me? Why don't I feel desired? Why do I still feel emotionally empty? Over time, this can create insecurity, sadness, self-consciousness, or reduced confidence within the relationship. She appears constantly stressed. Healthy intimacy often brings reassurance, closeness, calmness, comfort, and emotional relief. But unresolved dissatisfaction can create tension that eventually affects mental and physical well-being. This may appear through headaches, anxiety, emotional exhaustion, low motivation, irritability, difficulty relaxing, emotional heaviness. Relationship tension often impacts both the body and mind. She distracts herself with other things. Sometimes a woman who no longer finds intimacy emotionally rewarding may redirect her energy elsewhere. She may become overly focused on work, hobbies, entertainment, social media, routines, distractions. This is sometimes an emotional coping mechanism rather than true fulfillment. Instead of facing disappointment directly, she emotionally distances herself from the area causing frustration. Final thoughts. Sexual fulfillment in marriage is not only about physical performance. It is deeply connected to emotional safety, communication, trust, affection, understanding, patience, and vulnerability. Every woman is different. Every marriage is different. The signs of dissatisfaction may vary, but emotional distance rarely appears without reason. The solution is not shame, blame, criticism, or silence. The solution is honest communication, emotional maturity, compassion, patience, and willingness from both partners to understand and care for each other deeply. Healthy intimacy grows where trust, emotional safety, communication, affection, and mutual effort exist. And sometimes, one honest conversation can begin healing what silence slowly damaged. Thank you so much. See you again.